Today on Public Eye News, Wisconsin lawmakers hope to outlaw local bans on gas engines, and later, Jonas Vandegaard signs a 3-year extension with Jumbo Visma.
Later, Joe Sigourney will have your weather for the week, and Brad Seaborg will have your sports update. Hello, I'm Amy Doyle.
And I'm Michael Cudahy, and this is Public Eye News. A historic landmark is on its way to Dearborn, Michigan. This house in Selma, Alabama was a safe haven for civil rights activists like Dr. King while the Selma Montgomery March was being planned. Joanna Jackson was 4 years old at the time, and now the house will be taken apart piece by piece and trucked to the Henry Ford Museum a year after Jackson contacted the museum to take over the house and its legacy. When President Lyndon Johnson announced the Voting Rights Act, Dr. King was in that very Jackson house watching it on TV. And turning our heads to Ohio, and the Norfolk Southern CEO is testifying before the state Senate today. Currently, both the Ohio Attorney General and the federal government are suing Norfolk Southern. Alan Shaw, the CEO, has already testified before the Pennsylvania Senate and in Congress over the East Palestine derailment, but now faces the Ohio body, which has recently passed a new safety measure in their transportation budget. A trade group called the Ohio Railroad Association is arguing, though, that the state can't make such safety changes.
Wisconsin's state archaeologist James Skibo died during a training dive in Lake Mendota. He was found unresponsive on Friday and pulled from the water by rescuers. Skibo, who was looking forward to more dives in Lake Mendota this spring, became the state archaeologist in 2021. He previously recovered a 1,200-year-old canoe and a 3,000-year-old canoe from Lake Mendota. He was known for his work as an anthropology professor and author, and for his love of exploring history through hands-on experiences. The cause of his death is still under investigation. The Wisconsin State Assembly will vote on 2 bills that would prevent state and local governments from banning gas-fueled vehicles and machines like snowblowers and lawnmowers. The bills were introduced by Republican lawmakers in response to a California law requiring that new cars be electric or hydrogen-powered by 2035. The bills have the support of gas stations and fossil fuel industry groups, while the environmental groups oppose them. And the mother of a black teen who was shot twice after mistakenly going to the wrong house in Kansas City, Missouri last week is speaking out to CBS News. As Ralph Yarl recovers at home, the 84-year-old man accused of shooting him is facing felony charges. Christian Benavides has the latest from Miami.
Ralph is doing considerably well. Physically, mornings are hard, but his spirits are in a good place.
Cleo Nagby tells CBS Mornings her son, Ralph Yarl, is continuing to receive medical care at home after being shot last week above the eye and in the arm. His family says it happened Thursday night in Kansas City, Missouri, after the high school junior went to the wrong house to pick up his younger siblings.
So it was about 9:45. I'm like, Ralph, can you please pick up your brothers for me? Being the kid he said okay.
Yarl went to Northeast 115th Street instead of Northeast 115th Terrace, a block away. The man accused of shooting him, 84-year-old Andrew Lester, is facing 2 felony charges, armed criminal action and first-degree assault.
I can tell you there was a racial component to the case.
According to the probable cause statement, Lester told police he thought someone was breaking into his house.
Just being black has been seen as a threat often in this country.
Yarl is an honor student and an all-state band member.
No teenager is a perfect teenager, but I'll tell you what Ralph and I will argue about. Ralph and I will argue about, Ralph, can you put the sheet music down and do your English homework? Mom, I don't want to do my English homework because it's boring. That's what we argue about.
His mother says Yale has asked him to apply to their school twice. Christian Benavides, CBS News.
And don't touch that dial. Joe Sigourney will be back with your weather report, and I'll be back with your national news after this break.
I'm Keira Knightley.
I've acted in a lot of films set in World War II, and yet I've never actually looked into what my own family went through.
How did they move that many people secretly?
Because Grandma Jan was good at her job.
Because Jan was good at her job.
Your grandfather, Mac, was involved in one of the most important opening campaigns of the war in Europe.
Enough to keep it lively.
Yeah. Yeah, that's sort of...
The most amazing understatement I've ever heard.
My grandparents' war.
Tonight at 9 on WNMU-TV.
Welcome back to Public Eye News. I am Joe Sigourney here with your weather. Taking a look at the sky cam right now. Finally, there's some breaks in the clouds, and the sun has been peeking through, but sadly not for long as we get later, look into our conditions for later. Right now, taking a look at the current conditions on the map. Up in Houghton, it's 36 degrees and mostly sunny there. Down in Ironwood, it's similar with 36 degrees and clear. And then down in Iron Mountain, it's 43 degrees and partly cloudy. And then in Menominee, it is 46 and mostly cloudy. Over here in Escadaba, it's 41 cloudy. Manistique is 34 and cloudy. In Sault Ste. Marie, it's the coldest, 30 degrees and cloudy. And back here in Marquette, it is 36 degrees and partly cloudy. Right now, the winds are northwest at 10 to 20 miles per hour, and our barometric pressure is 29.87 inches and rising. And tonight, we can expect those clouds to go away, and it will be clear, so it'll be a nice night for stargazing. There will also be barely any moon, so it'll be very dark. Low of 23 degrees, winds will be northwest 10 to 25 miles an hour. And tomorrow, we can expect snow and rain. A high of 40 degrees, low of 28, and winds will switch. They'll be east at 5 to 15 miles per hour. And then taking a look at the end of our week here on Thursday, it'll be a high of 42 degrees with mixed precipitation. Could be some freezing rain later in the evening as the temperatures drop. Low of 35 degrees on Thursday. Friday, kind of similar, a high of 48 degrees, mostly cloudy with a few scattered snow showers here and there or rain. Low of 32. And then Saturday, kind of the same, high of 36, scattered snowstorms throughout the day, low of 31. That's all I have for weather. It is back to Michael. For that weather update. An Oklahoman sheriff, Kevin Clardy, has made his first statement since audio of him and others discussing killing two journalists and the hanging of black people was leaked. Clardy said in the statement that the situation is complex and one he regrets having to address, but he also alluded to that felony charges could be on the way. The area's state representative and the Oklahoma governor, both Republicans, have called for Clardy and others' resignation, as Clardy wasn't the only officer on that audio. The person who obtained the audio did so by leaving a recorder in a county meeting, as he believed that the sheriff and local county commissioner were in violation of the state's Open Meetings Act. And two men in New York have been arrested and accused of setting up a secret police station for collecting information on enemies of the Chinese Communist Party. This is not the first report of these kinds of stations, as they've been reported in Europe as well. The Chinese government claims these are not police stations, though, rather saying they're for services like renewing one's driver's license. Chinese President Xi Jinping has been attacking critics of his regime, both domestically and abroad, as well as trying to attack corruption and financial crimes as well. And the American reporter being held in Russia, accused of espionage, had a day in court today, but he remains behind bars. Nicole D'Antonio has the latest from Washington, D.C.
Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gerskovich watched the court proceedings from inside a glass and metal enclosure as a Russian judge denied bail, pending an investigation and trial. The 31-year-old was arrested in March, accused of trying to obtain classified information about a Russian arms factory.
The charges against Evan are baseless, and we call on the Russian Federation to immediately release him.
On Monday, the U.S. ambassador to Russia was finally allowed to visit Gerskovich in prison.
I can report that he is in good health and remains strong despite his circumstances.
President Biden has spoken to Gerskovich's parents and calls their son's detention totally illegal. His parents both grew up in the Soviet Union before moving to the U.S. They sat down for an interview with the Wall Street Journal.
I know that he felt like it was his duty to report to, and he loved Russian people,
He still does?
He still does, yes.
U.S. authorities are also calling for the release of American Paul Whelan, who the Russians have also been holding on spying charges since 2018. Nicole D'Antonio, CBS News, Washington.
And after this break, we'll be right back with your sports update. Stay tuned.
Music was my life right from the beginning. I always sang. When I got into the camp, that's what saved my life. Most of the people who came in to Auschwitz did not last more than about a month.
Everybody, hey Wozniak, get down, sing.
Man muss ja Klavier spielen können.
We always knew that he survived by singing, but he could not have done it alone.
How Saba Kept Singing premieres April 18th on PBS and the PBS app.
Welcome back. I'm Brad Seaborg, and I'll have your sports update, starting off with the Boston Marathon, which took place on Sunday in some adverse conditions that soaked the course in the rain and battered the competitors with a headwind. Coming out on top was Evan Chabet, who completed the marathon in 2 hours, 5 minutes, and 54 seconds. Chabet claimed his second straight Boston Marathon title, handing another loss to pre-race favorite Eliud Kipchoge. Kipchoge finished a distant sixth, completing the course in 2 hours, 9 minutes, and 23 seconds, the slowest marathon of his career and his third loss in a major marathon. For whom many believe is the greatest marathoner of all time, the Boston Marathon still remains the only major marathon he has entered but not won. Finishing second was Gabriel Gray of Tanzania, who just beat out Kenyan Benyon Kirupto in a sprint to the finish. And in the world of cycling, Jumbo-Visma has announced a 3-year extension for Jonas Vingegaard, who will remain with the team until 2027. The 26-year-old joined the Dutch outfit in 2019 and has helped them become the premier team on the UCI World Tour. In a team that also features Primoz Roglic and Wout van Aert, Vingegaard has become the leader, capturing the Tour de France in an epic battle with Tadej Pogacar last year. The reigning Maillot Jaune will begin his title defense on July 1st when the Tour de France begins in the Spanish city of Bilbao. The Danish rider hopes to capture many more wins on Tour this year as he continues to build his resume as a new cycling superstar. And in the NFL, Philadelphia Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts is set to become the highest paid quarterback in NFL history after agreeing to a 5-year, $255 million deal with $179 million guaranteed. Hurts will be receiving an average of $51 million per season in a deal that will keep the QB in Philly through the 2028 season. The Eagles were 14-1 with Hurts as their starter last year, where he racked up 3,701 passing yards and completed 35 touchdowns. Hurts also set Super Bowl records last year with his 304 passing yards and 70 rushing yards to accompany his 3 rushing touchdowns. The former Oklahoma Sooner was in the final year of his rookie deal after being selected in the second round of the 2020 NFL Draft. Originally selected to be a backup for Carson Wentz, Hurts has seized the means of the Eagles' production. And that's all I've got for sports. Back to you at the news desk.
Thank you, Brad, for that update. And a toddler made it through the White House fence on Tuesday, causing a brief restriction of access until officers reunited him with his parents. It is believed to be the first successful intrusion since the fence was doubled in height a few years ago. A Secret Service spokesperson commented that security systems were immediately triggered and the toddler was quickly reunited with his parents. And in Alaska, stargazers got to see a surprise spiral in the sky for a few minutes on Saturday. The spiral was caught on a time-lapse camera and shared widely on social media. A research professor at the University of Alaska Fairbanks determined that the cause of the baby blue and green spiral was from excess fuel eliminated from a SpaceX rocket in California just 3 hours prior to the occurrence.
Wow, that's crazy. Just excess fuel causing a spiral of multiple colors in space. I don't understand space very much, but that's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, some of the things that happen in outer space. I mean, there's all kinds of different things that you can see in the sky. And
yeah,
have you seen any interesting?
I mean, there are the Northern Lights. Those are still on my bucket list of things I need to do, but obviously another thing that's kind of reflective of things going on around us. And that's all the time we have for you today. Thank you for tuning in to Public Eye News. I'm Michael Cudahy.
And I'm Amy Doyle. And we'll see you next
tomorrow.
The preceding program was produced by WNMU-TV, Northern Michigan University Public Television, in studios located in Elizabeth and Edgar Hardin Hall.